Hi, this is Charlie Turnbull on a cheese masterclass journey. Right, today we are talking Gouda. Gouda, a very cool cheese, possibly the greatest cheese in the world. Highly controversial. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because it is the most produced cheese in the world, the most popular. The more Gouda is made than anything else. It is made lots of different places. Originated in Holland. Holland is a destination for some great cheeses, but Gouda and Edam are at the top of the tree, and they both have the same root and probably with the same cheese until the 1700s. What Gouda is known for, what Holland is known for, is what's called washed curd cheese. Washed curd cheese, which gives it a very distinct flavour and is pretty much unique to France. Unique to Holland. There's one cheese in France made the same way, and a few people have copied it. But when it comes to washed curd, it's Holland. Let's have a look at a bit of a Gouda count on cheese cam. Where we go? Okay, so here we have a half of a quarter, so this is an eighth. You can see this is a distinctive. What is distinctive is that shape that comes all the way around here, giving this that bowed sort of flat balloon shape, flat on top, and it has this very thick. Can you see that there? Oh, very thick rind made out of plastic. All right. The other thing about Gouda that you can see immediately is that it is orangey coloured. And in that it's sort of coloured by something called annatto, which is a common colourant across some cheeses, just about the only colourant used by anyone in the traditional cheese world. Red Leicester uses the same thing, Scottish Cheddar uses the same thing, Shropshire Blue uses the same thing. It's made from a South American, Central American, South American sort of crocus-like gig. It's amazing. You can use it to great holistic strengths, and for that reason, Gouda does vary in its orangeness. You can get really pronounced orange, or it comes paired back to this sort of creamy orange that we've got here. The other thing I'll notice about it is it's got little holes, little eyes. That is carbon dioxide that's built up during the aging process. Most of the carbon dioxide is lost into the cheese or expelled and lost into the air. A little bit makes those little eyes. Shouldn't be very many in a good Gouda. Sort of a little round marble size is typical. What about the curd? The curd is smooth. We shouldn't see any breakages in it. Let's get ourselves a knife and pull the camera back over here. Right. So let's have a look. See, there are little dots. Can you see the little dots there? We do have build-up of little calcium. These are tyrosine. They're called salts, but they're not actually salt in the tasting, and you can't really taste-wise or flavor-wise taste them, but you can texture-wise. They get a little grittier, and people like them. So smooth curd, occasional marble-sized holes, little dots of tyrosine-based crystals in older cheeses. So that is our Gouda. Now these things can be quite heavy. We're talking about 5 to 7 kilos. And it's one of the great things about Holland and some of the great markets there, that their sort of mantra was, "Thou shalt not have duff scales." Weighing was very important to old style Goudas. Right, a little bit of its history, as we talked about. It comes from Holland, so it goes back a sort of 1,000 odd years. Very, very old cheese. It diverges from Edam in about the 1700s, and likewise we see Louis XIV steal a copy, and he starts making it in Lille in France, which is the Boule de Lille de Mimolette, which has the same root. Nowadays, it's an unprotected food name, which means anybody can make it and anybody can make the word Gouda. And actually, there are some great Goudas, really cool Goudas being made around the world. So it doesn't have to come from Holland, but Holland does make brilliant Goudas. Really cracking Goudas. Now, one of the things, the reason this is called an aged Gouda masterclass is this utterly transforms from its early stage cheese to a late stage cheese. And I'm going to focus on this masterclass on the older stage cheese. Now, go back to that washed curd thing. What does it do? When we're making the cheese, and we make it in the European style, so the curd is set or recombines underneath the whey. You do not drain the whey to get the cheese back together. You replace a little bit of the whey, about 10%, something of that order, with fresh water. It pulls out some of the acid, and that means that this goes into maturation at a higher pH, a lower acidity than other similar cheeses, such as sort of cheddar and Gruyere and cheeses like that. And that allows sweet flavored amino acids to develop during its lifetime. And that gives it its absolutely cracking caramel-like taste that you get in the old cheeses. And that's its really dominant feature. So let's look at the tastes, because we all know we look at the taste first: sweet, salt, acid, bitter, what did we get? Savory. This one is going to be dominated by its sweetness. Now, it's not a sweetness as in a sugary sweetness, it's a sweetness as in a sort of cooked milk, caramel, sort of toffee-like sweetness, and that is there in the center of the flavor. It's supported by a little bit of acidity and a little bit of umami, a little bit of savory, which is very nice. Should be no bitter going on here, no bitter at all. Right, so that's it, dominated by that caramel sweetness. Now, it's not just sweetness of sweetness, it's complex sweetness, caramel, toffee, cooked milk. In the dairy flavors, there's a little bit of butter. That's not the main event. More, it's that cooked milk, caramel, toffee kind of thing. The savoriness does give it some underlying buttery notes, which is nice. I like that. Right. That's really delicious. In its other flavors, what we're seeing is what I think of as processed flavors. Now, I mean that in a really positive way. So we're talking about fermented chocolate flavors, smoke flavors, sort of raisiny flavors, those kind of things. So where you've taken a natural product and you've done something to it and you've developed the flavor. And they really, this cheese at age is one of the most complex cheeses you can possibly shake a stick at. Really interesting flavors. And I really highly recommend it. It's got so much going on that actually the density of flavor makes you want it only in small amounts, in sort of little sort of shavings and that kind of thing. But as I said, this is a cheese that you're really going to want at age, that 12 months minimum into sort of 14 to 24 months. So a little bit on the coating. This is a cheese that has an artificial coat, and we can get some off there. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that there. Now, it's my belief that these were originally sort of wax cloth kind of coats. Now it's a form of plasticoat, which means pure plastic, but it's in a cloth type format. And actually, if you look under that, you can see that it's got the sort of the impression of cloth on there. That is essential to prevent the arrival of too much air or loss of moisture during its maturation. Get cracks in, get all sorts of different things going on. So as I've said, 5 to 7 kilos, about that big, that tall. They can vary, some quite small like that. And can you make them with other than cow's milk? You totally can. You can make them with goats, but you'd fall quite far away from the protected food name original thing. But I love goat's Goudas. Goat's milk really lends itself to Gouda. Highly recommended. So have a go at that. Find yourself some taste. Let's have a quick look at key characteristics that we picked up. Caramel in its flavor, that skin or rind really solid, the rounded shape at the sides, and the color, the orange. You see those things. To be honest, the shape is one of the really big ones. You'll instantly know this is Gouda, that great cheese. Go for age, you'll find some absolutely cracking examples. I hope you've enjoyed this introduction to one of the world's great cheeses, aged Gouda.